In today's video, I'll be talking about part 3 of the speaking exam, which is the two-way discussion. This section lasts roughly 5 minutes. In this section, you are required to speak on the topic from part 2 of the exam in a more general and abstract way. I will be focusing on 2 different marking criteria today. The first one I will look at is grammatical range and accuracy. So, what is it? Well, it refers to the candidate's ability to use a range of structures and how well they use them. As well as the rules of language, this criteria considers the communicative functions of speech. Here you can see the marking criteria for grammatical range and accuracy for a Band 7 answer. As I have mentioned in previous videos, a Band 7 is referred to as a good user. So you are still able to make some grammatical errors, but you should be able to use a range of complex structures with some flexibility, and you should frequently produce error-free sentences. Remember, when you are practicing at home, try to check your answers against the marking criteria and think about what you could do to improve your answer next time. You'll be able to find a link to all of the marking criteria in the comments section. Keeping in mind the marking criteria we just looked at, here's our first sample question for today. So, the question is, does globalization threaten national cultures? So, what kind of grammar structures do you think we could use in our answer? When I read that question, some grammar structures come to mind. For example, adverbs of certainty, such as probably. What were your ideas? Remember to share your ideas in the comment section or with your teacher. Here's a model answer with those suggested grammar points highlighted. Remember, the question was, does globalization threaten national cultures? And the sample answer is, that's a really interesting question. I think threaten is a very provocative word. In my personal opinion, globalization doesn't inherently threaten national cultures. However, it probably will be an influencing factor in how they evolve. I think with this topic, it is definitely important to remember that national cultures have always changed and evolved, and that change is natural and certainly isn't bad. So, what idea have you got for your answer? Let's take a look at another question. This time the question is, are all traditions worth keeping? Should we get rid of any traditions? So, considering the marking criteria, what grammar points could we include in our answer? Remember, our question is, are all traditions worth keeping? Should we get rid of any traditions? As you can see, I suggested adverbs of certainty and modals. What did you suggest? Remember to share your ideas in the comments. Here's a model answer with the different grammar points highlighted. Remember, the question was, are all traditions worth keeping? Should we get rid of any traditions? And the sample answer is, traditions are important aspects of a country's culture and are meaningful to many people. In order to preserve different aspects of a country's culture, they should be preserved. However, if we had negative traditions, we would have to get rid of them. It is important to remember that throughout history, cultures have definitely changed, and what is tradition now would have been new at some point. So, we should only keep traditions that are representative of how we want our culture to be going forward. That doesn't inherently mean some traditions must be erased and forgotten, just probably acknowledged and left in the past. So, how did you think about answering that question? Now let's take a look at the second marking criteria that I'll be talking about in this lesson. So, another skill that the examiner is assessing is how well the candidate pronounces the language. As well as the communicative effect of the candidate's pronunciation, there is an evaluation of how much strain it causes a listener and how noticeable their accent is. Although the accent itself is not a problem, candidates need to be able to produce the phonological features of speech. Many of you watching this video will be aiming for a Band 7 score. Here you can see the marking criteria for pronunciation for a Band 7 answer. As I have mentioned in previous videos, a Band 7 is referred to as a good user. As such, you can mispronounce some individual words or sounds that reduce clarity at times, but you must be able to use a range of pronunciation features and be generally understood. Now let's take a look at another example question and its model answer. This time we will be paying special attention to pronunciation. So our question is national pride a good or bad thing? So our answer is, that's a really interesting question. I don't think it is as straightforward as it seems, but instead I believe it is rather nuanced, as it has the potential to be good or bad depending on how it is carried out. If it is just pride in your own country, I do not think it is a bad thing. However, if that pride comes with believing you are better than other people who are from different countries, or hatred of other people as a result of your own pride, it can create detrimental and potentially dangerous situations. So, we've got some tricky words in this answer. I recommend breaking those words down into their syllables and then practicing them so that you can become more confident with them and pronounce them without much effort. As you can see, I have broken down some of the more challenging words. Firstly, we have nuanced. Then we have potential. Then we have detrimental. And finally, we have potentially. So, if any of those words are still hard for you, just make a note of them so that you can repeat them several more times until they feel more natural. Remember, you can always check the pronunciation of a word by Googling it if you're unsure. Now it is time for the tip of the day. So, your tip is try to avoid overusing fillers. Fillers in English are words like er, and like. These words and sounds stop the flow of your speech, so should be avoided. When you are listening to recordings of your answers, watch out for these words.